we go. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Chattanooga. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm so glad you came today. I was downstairs talking to one of our young persons, and they told me that they were so happy to be back and it felt so good to be here, and that just started my day off right. I'm going to say thank you to Milo for welcoming me this morning. And welcome to all of you, no matter what brings you here today, whether this is your first time here and you're just curious or you've been here a lot of times, we're so glad you came. This is a place of celebration, deepening, and a day to celebrate going back to school. That hit a little low. Yeah, that's okay. We like to go back to school. So whatever brought you here today, I want you to take a minute and think about the part of you who wants to be here with us, the part of you who seeks community and support, and I want you to welcome that part of you into this service. Welcome who you are that is brilliant and sometimes hard. Welcome who you are that makes mistakes or stumbles and needs a community of people to feel centered and grounded. It would be good every day of the week, but thank goodness we have once a week together. Now, I have the order of service saying social justice moment twice. I would like to say this is not it. And I'd like to move on to our chalice lighting, and we have the Social Justice Committee actually hosting us for coffee today, and I'd like to invite them forward to help us light our chalice. Chalices are being lit in Unitarian Universalist churches all over the place as markers of the beginning of our time together. And please join me in reading the chalice lighting words. In the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. All right, Selena, usually you have an idea for this time in the service.
Let's greet each other and then let's sing a song together.
All right, so please rise in body or spirit. Say hello to each other. If you're not comfortable with that, just sit down. And let's open up, let's just stay where you are. We're fine with that, and let's celebrate and welcome each other this morning. Good to see you all. Hey, you ready? You ready for this day? Hi, are you ready for back to school? I love your shirt. Thank you for wearing that to my church. Hi, how are you? Welcome. Come on in, everybody. Good to see you all again. I'm glad. You've probably been here. I've just been away, so I'm pretty happy to be back. Hi. Okay, remind me your name. Ace? I will not remember it, but I love it. There's too many people. Pretty soon you'll have a name tag and all.
There's a river
And now I'd like to invite our Director of Religious Education, Camille Mason, up to offer us a blessing for our back-to-school backpacks. Yay! Yay!
Hello, good morning. My name is Camille, and I'm the Director of Religious Education. I'm so glad to be here with you all this morning. As you might know, our kids and our teachers are going back to school, and our adults are still working. So we want to celebrate this special time of year by blessing the backpacks, bags, purses, briefcases, diaper bags, or other special items that you need to work from home, go to work, go to school, or homeschool. We include everyone in this blessing because everyone is in the school of life. These bags are filled with the supplies you need to succeed, and we wish you every success this year. As you use, we believe in the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Today and every day, this church wants you to know that you are special to this congregation. You bring unique talents and perspective. The source of love and your UU family is always with you as you go into the world. I would like to invite the children up to the front to help me bless the backpacks. Come on up. Come on down. Come on down. Whichever way you want to go. Okay, that's fine. We are happy to bless whatever you bring. Okay, so do you know what a blessing is before we begin? Do you know what a blessing is? What do you think? Okay, maybe there's more than one meaning to a blessing. How does a blessing make you feel? What do you think, Xenia? Blessed? Special? What do you think, Milo? Some private think time? Okay. Well, what do you think? Do you have an idea?
I just raised my hand for no reason.
Okay, no problem. So usually a blessing makes us feel special. It makes us feel loved. And that's why we're blessing our backpacks, because we want to take that with us as we go into the world, okay? So a blessing is kind of like a good luck wish, right? And we are going to say this blessing together. So I am going to say the line, and then you can repeat after me. Are you ready? Okay. Can you hold your hands over the backpacks like this? We're gonna share our power. Okay. Show me your powerful hands. Well, you want to put your backpack up here, or your stuffy, or whatever you want to get blessed? Okay. Yep. All right. Put it up here. Put your hands up here. Okay. Let's say it together. We bless these backpacks that belong to our community. Each of us is special to this church. May we go into the world and know we belong. All right. Will you guys take a seat for a second? Thank you. Okay. So the last part of our backpack blessing is that you get a little something to go on your backpack. So this year we have a little keychain. What do you see on this keychain?
I can't see it.
It's a tiny little backpack, okay? And on this backpack, it says UUCC, and then it says Side with Love, all right? So that's what it says on this keychain, and everyone is going to get a keychain to put on their backpack or their diaper bag or what they have that's special to them that they take with them, okay? And when you notice this keychain, I want you to remember that you are a part of a community that embraces and loves every single part of you. That's important for two reasons. First, it reminds us that we are loved. And second, it reminds us to love other people. So, if you'll please help me sing the children out after they get their keychains. All right, you want to grab a keychain? right, and adults, they'll be up here, so you can grab one for you as well when you come and light your candles. Yes, please grab your backpack, and we'll sing you out.
So I've been exploring personality types and what I will continue to talk about on Sunday is personality types, how learning about the way people are, especially ourselves, helps us lean into good in the world. And I was watching this video, you might have seen it in Monday Musing, where it said that the Enneagram was compared to superheroes, the Enneagram type. And I was thinking about, what is the superhero of Unitarian Universalism? I thought of Ralph Waldo Emerson. And I came across a story about him and his daughter that I wanted to share with you this morning. And Emerson has 4 children, by the way. He's a wife. He had 4 children, 1 daughter. And he was talking to her in this story, so imagine it's him and his daughter. And he says, "What do you want for your birthday? Do you want a doll?" And she wrinkled her nose and scrunched her eyes and thought, "No." "A tea set?" "No." "A pony?" "No." "No, Father. I have a year to think. I want this year to be a special year to remember." "All right," he said. "You think and let me know." Ellen thought, and she thought of bonbons and chocolate and new dresses and hats and boots and lace collars, but none of these were what she wanted. What would be special? Each day her father asked her, "Ellen, do you know what you want for your birthday?" And she would shake her head, "No, I'm still thinking." After 4 days, her father said, "Ellen, what are you thinking?" "Yes, Father, I've decided." "Well," she said, "I have a riddle." This is the riddle that she gives him. "I will tell you what gift I want for my birthday. This is the riddle. You cannot buy it, for it's worth all the money you have, but only you can give it." He said, "I need you to repeat the riddle because it will tell me what gift you want for your birthday. I cannot buy it because it's worth all the money I have, but I only can give it. Is that right?" "Yes, Father." "And now it was my turn to think," says Emerson. "I have to find the perfect present, a mystery." He paced and pondered and repeated the riddle over and over again. And when her birthday came, there was no present from him, and she didn't expect one. After she'd opened the presents from her brother and her sister and from her mother and grandmother, and after the cake was gone and the celebration was over, Ellen's father said, "It's now time for Ellen's present from me. Ellen, come sit with me." So she climbed into the armchair and sat on her father's lap. "My present to you is very special. I hope it's what you wanted. For it's not a book or a toy or clothes, but instead a present for all seasons and each day. This year, for your birthday present from me, we will spend time together every single week. Just the 2 of us, for you are my very special daughter, and I love you dearly." And she hugged him and said, "Oh, Father, that's what I wanted. You figured it out. Good job." And he said, "But I have a riddle. You cannot buy it, for it's worth all the money you have, but you can give it. It took me a long time to figure out the answer, but when I did, I knew what gift you wanted. The answer was simple, to give yourself." He said, "You teach me more than any book I've ever read or written. By giving time, I will gain more than I give." He understood. And he later wrote an essay called "Giving Yourself," for he knew the wonder of that gift of giving yourself. And there's a wonder around here of giving ourselves, and there are people here that do the hard work of church and go unnoticed. And I don't know if you noticed the lights in the fellowship hall when you came in worked. And so I want to just say thank you to one of those people that really gives their time, who's sitting in the back looking at me kind of weird right now. Can we give Dave Ben some of our appreciation? It's for you. Hip, hip, hooray, because his stewardship of this building and this place is inspirational to me. And he gives without being asked. And I think that was the part of his personality that maybe we enjoy the fruits of so much here. And anybody who gets a chance, appreciate him today for the lights. So we give in different ways. We give our time, talent, and treasure. We give our hearts to each other. What we really like to give each other is food. I know that sounds funny, but the meal train thing around here, when somebody needs us, we band together and feed people. Wednesday night potlucks, we get together and feed people. And so when you make an offering to this church, you're contributing to the work of feeding people, not only in this community, and not just physically, but spiritually in Chattanooga. And for that reason, our offering will be gratefully received. I want one too. Please join me in our offertory response. We give these gifts freely, committed to our mission to care, create beloved community, awaken hearts and minds, resist injustice, and act with compassion, embrace life and care for the earth. To this work, we dedicate our offerings. Apparently, I think the order of service is just a suggestion today. And I want to apologize again, but I'm going to follow the slideshow, because if I don't, it's going to get really confusing. So thank you for being flexible. I am just now realizing they don't line up. So there's a time in our service where we invite people forward to light candles for joys and concerns that they might have in their heart this week. It is a time in this world where we feel the polarization every day. We work hard to be loving. We work hard to live into the value of our own inherent worth and dignity. And in this place, there's space to hold those troubles on our minds and our hearts and the joys we celebrate. And in the spirit of that, I invite you forward to light candles of joys and concerns and grab a keychain. Judah. Spirit of love and life, Spirit of resilience, surround us in hard times. Remind us that the laughter is there, close at hand, that heals. And when you come to a community like UCC, there's always a hug and maybe even something delicious to eat. Holding us in community, it's part of our personality. May it be so, and blessed be. Style. Obviously, I think about it sometimes. I should have thought about it deeper when I had the scissors in my hand this week and my hair just kept getting shorter. I gave myself my own back-to-school haircut, apparently. Yeah, I did all right. There's ribbons, thank goodness. But it's interesting that our personality types draw us into our behavior of how we present ourselves in the world and how we dress and what we think and what we like to eat or do or watch on TV says a lot about who we are as a person. I really have been enjoying studying the Enneagram more deeply the last few weeks in order to try to explain it to you more simply. It's one of those things that it's just got too much in it to talk about in a day. As I've shown you before, there are 9 personality types, but that's not quite true. They also have wings. And so for example, and I had to look up the word epicure, I just will be honest, and indulgent gluttony, I had to figure that out. For example, if you are 3, the performer, you might act like a giver when you're stressed, a 2, and you might act like the romantic when you're feeling well and doing great in the world. So we move back and forth. And then if that's not complicated enough, see those lines that point different? Yeah, it's all over the place. It's worth studying, but what the point is it's helping us and me to get to know myself better so that I can communicate in more loving and thoughtful ways, so that I can be a person with good intentions before my mouth opens. And it helps the other person to assume I have good intentions if we're both coming from the same place. The other cool thing is, I don't know if you noticed, this is a church. Okay, you noticed. Okay, good. And this is the best place to practice this stuff. That's kind of the purpose of church sometimes, is we can practice how to be Unitarian Universalists together. And that way, when we're out in the world, our muscle memory of being good and kind and loving is already working when somebody says something that might not be good or kind or loving. There are 3 other distinctions in the Enneagram, and these are the ones I want to talk about today, and these have to do with the way that we interact with the world. Self-preservation, social, and one-on-one. And everybody has a little bit of these, and we shift. Like I said, when you're healthy or unhealthy or just in the middle, you shift back and forth. These ways of communication with the world were learned when you were tiny. They were in reaction to the parenting you had and what you needed to be a good communicator in that system. I think about the story of Ralph Waldo Emerson and his daughter and how clever she was. That was a busy man. And for her to have invited him in to spending time with her once a week, that's pretty incredible. And for her to have known him that way, to know that the best way to get him was with a riddle, the best way to get him interested in that, and for him to understand and recognize that she was his teacher, says a lot about who both of them were. And I just find that little interaction of personality in that story really fascinating. My dad never said, "I love you" to me. I know he did. And towards the end of his life, I started trying to trick him into saying it over and over again. And my game was that when we would hang up the phone together, before he'd say, "Goodbye, Mandel," and I'd say, "I love you," and he'd go, "I love you." And you could hear the angst in his voice the first few times it came in. But as his life was winding down, it started to become more earnest and more practiced. it became more honest. And I, like Emerson's daughter, knew maybe the only way to get him to do that was to be a little bit tricky. Not tricky in a way that coerced him, but in a way that brought him into community with me. Now, Emerson is a pretty deep guy. Emerson is a romantic. He thinks about the world internally, and he's processing it to have more hope in the world. It's kind of what keeps him going. He is a transcendentalist, the father, perhaps, of transcendentalism. His idea that he was transcendent with nature and what might be God was ever present with him. He understood in his own soul, or the oversoul, as he later talks about his soul personally and the oversoul, that being in nature and being in spaces that you could just be was so important to nurturing. He talks a lot about the oversoul, and what he means by that is kind of like in Buddhism or Hinduism, where there's the people, and we all have a little bit of God in us, and then there's a bigger soul out there that we rejoin. He's thinking about the most good for not only him internally, but that broader society. And he talks a lot about people's character. One of the things he says about people's character that I'd like to quote is, that's about the Enneagram. Yeah, okay. He calls it temperament, not character. Temperament also enters fully into the system of illusion and shuts us in a prison of glass which we cannot see. There is an optical illusion about every person we meet. In truth, they are all creatures given temperament, which will appear in given character, whose boundaries they will never pass. But we look at them, they seem alive, and we presume there's an impulse in them. In the moment, it seems impulse, in the year, in the lifetime, turns out to be a certain uniform tune which the revolving barrel of a music box must play. Men resist the conclusion of morning, but adopt it in the evening and wear it. That temper prevails over everything of time and place and condition. So he knew people had a temperament, a deep point of personality, but he also thought it could be changed, because if you see on the order of service, this part is right. On the front, the only person you're destined to become is the person you decide to be. So even though these influences of early childhood are dictating how we behave sometimes, we have choices to make to lean into love and to be good people. Emerson, our superhero of the day. So this guy is a romantic at heart. He was a tenacious writer, just even was writing and making speaking engagements well past his capacity. He was a perfectionist when it came to writing, and he was a giver. And as the romantic, when he was doing well, that perfectionist in him and the ability to organize his thoughts and feelings was heightened. When he was in crisis, he might get into a space of giving too much away, too much of himself. And that also means that gift to his daughter is critically important. He's a good-natured man with a sense of humor. He usually has a little smirk on his face when you see him in pictures. He only has one time when he really loses his temper that I know of, and that's in the Harvard Divinity School address. And I really think if you are interested in reading that, one of our congregants who's not here right now has been carrying an Emerson book under her arm for a while. If you run into her, what I love about seeing her with that book is it actually belonged to my husband's dad. And that book's traveled through me and him and all over the place. And I've seen many people carrying that Emerson book under their arm, but the best part about it is he speaks such truth and clarity with such prose and beauty, and there's the romantic. He likes to put some flourish and some flower and some engagement. I mean, he drew himself as an eyeball walking around, for crying out loud. Like he is engaged in the world. He's creative. He's a little silly. What I don't quite understand about him is his instinctual subtype. Is he a self-preservationist? Maybe. Is he focused on social engagement of the greater group? Or is he a one-to-one person? And the more I was thinking about this and his relationship with nature, it suddenly occurred to me that he was one-to-one with nature. And I started thinking about these relationships we have with people and each other and how they can expand past just our relationship with people. It can be our relationship with music. It can be our relationship with nature. What is important is our communication style finds a place of comfort and rest. There have been moments pulling weeds in my yard when I have had that comfort and rest I needed. It's more so than like laying down in bed and taking a nap, or really good food with people at my house yesterday. We smoked a bunch of stuff on the smoker and roasted asparagus. I mean, we hung out and we just ate really slowly all day and savored and shared that time of kind of letting go and laughing. One-to-one is a little trickier for people, though. A lot of times that expresses itself in very intimate relationships, and it can get a little controlling, so we have to make sure we're watching ourselves and how we corner or respect someone's boundaries in a one-to-one relationship. None of this should ever be coercive because we're thinking about our best intentions, and we're also thinking about how we can communicate with people kindly, with love and affection. There's an article in a Michigan University Arts magazine. I do not know how I find things sometimes. And she's talking about the Enneagram and specifically about Donald Trump, which I find interesting. No booing and hissing, come on. We're practicing good intentions. Anyway, he's an 8. And she's talking about him being an 8. And in comparison to how his behavior in public really creates this feeling of scarcity and panic. Because he's not only an 8, he's functioning in an unhealthy way that an 8 functions. I'm not going to go find him and help him. He has enough help. But the patterns of his behavior were developed at childhood. We've all seen this, right? The patterns of behavior of people who form cults are early on. People see that behavior when they're tiny. They're not just one-to-one relationships. It's a cultivation and an isolation with those one-to-one relationships. During my vacation, I might have watched a show called How to Become a Cult Leader. Not because I wanted to, because I was curious. And actually, the thing that was really interesting about that is a lot of times you'll hear folks on the outside who don't understand our religious faith and background in Unitarian Universalism will refer to this as a cult. Your favorite, someone's favorite. Yeah, mine too. The reason, and I have been doing some research and some figuring on why we get labeled as such, why that gets said, and here's the thing I came across. I was listening to dissenters about the Enneagram, and boy, are there some good dissenters about the evil pentagram that tells people who they are. Trust me. And what I didn't realize, and I wasn't picking up on, is the reason they were pushing back on it was because in that tradition of church, you are nothing and God is everything. And to look into yourself as a distraction from the good works to God. That is not how we roll around here. We roll in a different way, that we look inside ourselves so that we can become the most healthy, and then our community becomes most healthy, and then we have this ring effect of spreading love. Not this internalization or rules or dogma that tells us how to relate to the world. I am not a tyrant and I am not a cult leader. I've watched all those shows just to make sure. But the other thing about that, I can't be a tyrant. Don't ask my kids those. Wait. Don't ask my kids those questions. But the thing about the cult leaders that I found so interesting that was so opposite of us was they are focused on a fundamental truth of one controlling person who's trying to dictate what they do. And they are isolated and they are pulled apart. And so the reason I'm talking about this is something we hear in the community. This is something we hear in conversations with friends and families about the personality of Unitarian Universalism. And I just want to say that's not the case. Our case is we are thinking about the whole. And in the whole, each person becoming healthy and nurtured along the way, because we know, and Emerson brought this to us, that we have inherent worth and dignity. And we have inherent worth and dignity outside any suffering or sacrifices or anything, just by the fact that we are. And that's the good news of the personality type of Unitarian Universalism. It's a space to be who you are, but not just who you are, your best self. Because remember, it takes practice to be good at anything, right? And this is kind of our playground for practicing being good people together. And oh my goodness, what a cherished gift and it is to be here in this kind of church. You know, we go on these journeys, and I go on these journeys to write sermons, and I always learn a little bit something else about myself. I already knew I liked weird documentaries, so that was okay. But just the idea of being able, the next time somebody says, oh, that's a cult, to have a specific pushback beyond something like, we don't have any dogma. I don't know what you're talking, like this defensive, la, 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 la. Don't say that about me. That's mean. Instead of that, well, actually, we're not, because we're focused and centered on each person and how they develop as individuals so that we can be great together. And that's really good news that we're not a cult. I'm kidding. It is good news, but it is so refreshing and such a surprise through this exploration of personality that I might finally figure that out with all of you. And I think it's helpful for us to be on this journey together of being better people and practicing. And our covenant gives us what we need to do that. We assume best intentions. That means that we assume people have their best at heart for this church when we're making decisions. And when we mess up, we begin again in love. And I'll tell you what a relief. What a relief to be in a place who's committed to, no matter what little mistakes or foibles we may make, however imperfect we might be that day, that there is always space for our inherent worth and dignity, and we have an opportunity to begin again in love again and again and again. May it be so. And blessed be. This is more of a question. Okay, good. I see someone coming up. Whew. Another one of those order of service moments I've been having today. Andy, can you please come up and give us our social justice moment? Okay, it was where it went. It belonged, yeah.
Well, good morning. Good morning, everyone. My name's Andy, my pronouns are he, they, and I have another social justice moment for you from the neo-pagan and earth-centered group here at UUCC. And last week, if you remember, I talked about the concept of the goddess and how it relates to social justice. And so I thought today I would share a little bit more about some of the diverse beliefs within the larger group of neo-pagans and earth-centered folks out there. And I think one of the reasons why this group tends to be so committed to social justice, especially around the environment, is that a lot of folks in these movements believe in some form of animism, which is the belief that everything has a spirit. Trees, the land, animals, people, everything has a spirit, everything's alive. And so I have this zine, it's a little self-published journal, and it's all about trees from sort of witchy and pagan perspectives. And one of the essays has a little snippet about someone's personal belief in this animistic philosophy. And it just says it's by Elwyn the Witch. Beautiful picture. Anyway, Elwin says, from the beginning of our time, in all cultures, trees have maintained their spiritual significance. Regarded as silent sentinels, trees have called this planet home long before we walked it. The tree, in many forms, represents a gnosis within our subconscious. For example, the term as above, so below is one that has associations with the tree. Limber branches reaching for nourishment from the celestial above, and gnarled roots drawing the grounding energies of the earth. Now, in the present age, the concept of tree worship is one that brings to mind pagan conceptions, either through vibrational healing or esoteric entities. With energy comes spirit. It is a belief in my practice that all things hold a spirit. The spirit of a tree is one that has birthed many names in folk mythology around the world. Yet none have become so renowned as the entity known as the dryad. Dryads are also known as hamadryads, a term coined from the ancient Greek to mean the spirit of an oak. However, now the name is used for all manner of wood nymphs and spirits. All forests, at some point, hold within them a mother tree, the mother tree being the oldest tree of the forest from where many of the offspring originate. This is what I believe to be the dryad. So they go on and talk about the spirit of the tree in the forest. And so, the next time you're out in the woods, think, maybe there's a spirit in there. And as I said with beliefs about the goddess, there's a wide diversity of beliefs within that, metaphorical, spiritual, maybe somebody doesn't actually believe the tree has a spirit, but, they may believe that in a more poetic sense. But, then there are people who do believe that the tree has an actual spirit attached to it. So just food for thought and another reason to want to save the environment because it is literally our sacred home. So thank you.
Thank you. Please rise in body and or spirit to join us in our closing song, number 131, Love Will Guide Us. Are we having a clicker fight? Hold on. Oh, it won't work. I thought I turned the whole thing off for a second. I have some magic ability to mess technology up. So what? Well, so, like I said, this is our practice ground for loving the world, right here, and what a great opportunity. We have inspirational people like Emerson, and who teach us. Emerson felt a little different than what Andy was talking about. I just want to be distinct. Emerson was a transcendentalist, religious naturalist. It was a little bit different of a way of interacting. He actually believed that God was multi-layered in all kinds of things, including himself, and that was the progressiveness of his thinking. He wasn't out worshiping tree nymphs, but that is also a place of love and care. And who doesn't like to hug a tree every once in a while, right? Like, I sure do. I sure do. I'm looking for my poem. I have lots of pieces of white paper that don't mean anything. Ah, I know. And this is what I wanted your so what to be. This is a letter to his daughter by Ralph Waldo Emerson. And this is a poem. Finish each day and be done with it. You have done what you could. Some blunders and absurdities no doubt have crept in. Forget them as soon as you can. Tomorrow is a new day. Begin it well and serenely, with too high a spirit to be cumbered with your old nonsense. And that brings me to our chalice extinguishing. Oh, yeah. And Judy, can you? Judy, through all the J's. Please join me in our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but keep the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and share with all the world. It's announcement time. It's one of our favorite parts of church, and I have a couple announcements of for myself. Oh, the pile's behind me. I found it. Okay, so I'm making an announcement for religious education. There is a flyer in your order of service. Parent night out, August 25th. And then a cleanup event, and it's on Brainerd Road. It's August 19th. If you have a young'un in your life who needs community service like I do, we'll be participating in the cleanup event. But it's also a way to partner with other churches. I was sitting in a coffee shop, and the minister from Grace Episcopal came up to me and said, y'all are doing a cleanup on Brainerd Road. We heard about it. So I was already really excited about that. Camille's got some really great road signs to go along the road, and it should be a visible spot. Yes, question?
No, I was going to add to what you're saying when you're done.
Yeah, there's a microphone, which would be easier for people.
Okay.
You can. Charla is adding to my knowledge of what's happening besides my kid needs community service. Probably have to turn on there.
Hello?
There you go.
So also, if your child is interested in going to a city council meeting to talk about our litter problems in Chattanooga, we are doing that Monday the 15th. Let Camille and I know. We're going to spend some time next Sunday talking about what we know about litter, its causes, its remedies, which are often not what we think. Signage, not so much. Actually getting out there and publicly cleaning, very effective. So anyway, we're going to have, and receptacles that get emptied. Really good. So anyway, we're going to be talking about that in the city council meeting because we want our kids to get more civically engaged. Thanks.
Tuesday.
Is it Tuesday? It's the 15th, though. I do know that, I think. I think
It's
I know
not
that.
this week.
Anyway,
right?
it's not this week. It's the following week. So just let us know. I never know what day of the week it is.
Charlotte's Sunday today.
I did know that.
Okay. I just did too. You're welcome. Oh my gosh, doesn't that warm up your heart so much they're going to go to a city council meeting? I'm so excited. We're going to teach them to raise a ruckus young around here. If you are a white woman, some of it like myself, there is a really cool opportunity for a Finding Freedom program, which is on Zoom. White women taking on their own white supremacy. It's, I need it. It's on Zoom. It's sponsored by the Unitarian Universalist Women's Federation. If you're interested, they have a fee scale that is so equitable you can't believe it. You answer some questions and it gauges how much you pay. I answered wrong. I have to pay a lot because I have a lot of privilege. But it also creates opportunity for people to come and have earnest conversations. The reason this group is doing this, it's called Finding Freedom. The reason they're doing this is in response to the amount of white women who voted for somebody who was unhelpful to white women in the world. So they're responding. I'm not supposed to be political. It's so hard. They're responding to that, and you're invited. If you want a flyer, please let me know. I'd love that. The shared pulpit is one of the things that I am doing as a class. This is a class that some of you have already taken. It is 8 weeks, but we don't know yet. And what we're going to do is we're going to start meeting next week in the sanctuary from 3 to 5, and we're going to set the schedule because I want as many people to be able to participate in this as possible. If you would like it's a great writing class if you just want to focus on writing and processing how you feel about Unitarian Universalism. It will explain the different elements of the service and will also give people the tools to have a complete sermon or speech by the end of the class. And just a good opportunity to hang out. So starting now, 3 to 5 on Sunday so we can figure it out, and we'll come up with a schedule. It is going to be hybrid. We will meet both online and in person. The world is very busy, and to get us together this many times, we're going to have to be flexible. This class meant so much to me during COVID. We did it on Zoom, and the people in that class are so near and dear to me because we really dived into the deep subjects that were on their heart and took the time to get more engaged in worship. So I'm pretty excited. And even if you're not interested in doing a sermon at the end, which you will be, please still take the class if you need a good creative writing class or a focus class. We're going to try to get books for folks. So let us know as soon as possible. People have had a little trouble tracking down the books. I have come up with 4 so far. So let us know, and we'd love for you to join us. Because we moved it to Sunday, Rich is coming. It'll be so fun to hang out with Rich. So, and lots of other folks who are amazing too, but that just put a big smile on my face. And we're going to be flexible about adult religious education because we want as many people to participate as possible. And so if you see a class coming up and it's at a time that's really awkward or not something you can do, please let me know. I'm just picking times that are open on the calendar. I'm pretty flexible about stuff like that. The last thing is starting on the 20th, we'll start having a discussion group about world religion here beginning at 9:30 on Sunday morning, 9:15 to 10:15 on Sunday mornings, if you're interested in that. And that was a lot of announcements from me. Does anybody else have any announcements? Oh, Roger.
There it is. Good. So speaking of flexible, we have a sign-up sheet right there in that music stand for yoga.
Oh, good segue,
Hey,
sir.
you gave me that idea.
Good job. That was excellent.
And you may be wondering, well, I thought we had yoga going on every Monday. Well, we did, but we are sort of stopping. Our wonderful yoga teacher, who is Selena's niece, Rachel, has taken a full-time job as a Spanish teacher at Signal Mountain Middle School, so she will not be able to continue. So we're going to take a pause in yoga, could be a few weeks. We've reached out to a couple of yoga teachers in the area. There are a lot of good ones in Chattanooga, and we've actually had 2 that have expressed interest, but I want to make sure that we as a community still have interest in yoga. We averaged about 10 to 12 people every Monday, and it doesn't have to be Monday. It could be any day of the week. So when you sign up, or if you want to sign up, indicate which day of the week would be good for you. So in case you're wondering what that music stand is doing there, that's what it's all about. Thank you.
Anybody else? Oh my gosh, look at the time. That's
What
gonna...
time is that? The world of different religions?
9:15 to 10:15 on Sunday mornings.
9:15 to 10:15.
Look at your face, Chen. That was like, huh? I didn't know you got up that early, Reverend Mandy. I'm trying to be flexible. Well, with that, our service has ended. May our service and love for the world begin in this moment.